Gone are the days where it's a discussion around shared services versus outsourcing. We've matured from that discussion, from those models. Now it's a case of shared services or outsourcing, or both shared services and outsourcing, or actually neither shared services or outsourcing. And the reason it's matured in that way is because there's a much more of a focus now on business outcomes, as there should be. And the business outcome is, what am I trying to achieve from my particular function? And can I achieve that through enablers, which are shared services, which can be outsourcing, which can be the hybrid model, or can be simply automation. We recently advised the client not to do either shared services or outsourcing because they didn't have the appetite for the change required for shared services and outsourcing. And what they were looking for, the outcome they were looking for, was a quick payback period and minimal investment. So actually enabling their technology better allowed them to eliminate some roles and get the benefits that they wanted. So in terms of whether an organization is ready for that type of conversation around shared services, outsourcing, hybrid, or automation, I think it really depends on the organization, and it depends on the people that you're speaking with. So the leadership level are very much focused on those business outcomes that they're trying to achieve across the organization. And if they have an understanding that shared services or outsourcing or hybrid or automation can enable that, then I think you're talking to the right people and I think you're saying the right things. However, a lot of the time, you may not be talking to the right people and you may not be saying the right things. And that's the difficulty in these scenarios. The question of location is an important one for all organizations today, primarily because of the growth of onshore shared services and outsourcing models. And whereas before we were all having conversations around nearshore or offshore, really each of the BPO providers in today's age have onshore capability, nearshore capability, and offshore capability. So the discussion is more around what particular balance of the three provides that organization with the benefits that they're expecting. And there's not one answer for every organization, but there's plenty in today's age that don't have the right drivers for offshoring and don't have the right appetite for offshoring, and hence an onshore shared service center or an onshore outsourcing is the right option for them. When you're looking onshore, the question around shared services or outsourcing or both becomes an interesting one, because it's less around wage arbitrage and more around efficiencies and effectiveness. And the reality is, because of the maturity of the BPO providers, this is an area where they have a specialism. So the onshore BPO play is quite a strong one and avoids some of the political sentiment involved in offshoring. I think there's definitely not enough automation in the industry today. Hackett studies show that 20 to 40% of functions have some level of automation. Now, part of that is because there's plenty of ERPs that are out there where it can be expensive to automate. And part of that is because of the appetite for automation. Actually, what we recommend more and more are the point solution tools that exist across the different sub-functions in finance, HR, and procurement that deliver a significant amount of benefit for a relatively low cost. And what enables you to do is increase your automation levels through using these proprietary tools and not suffer the expense of the type that you may have if you enable your Oracle or your SAP a little bit better. The cloud model interests me greatly, and it's no secret about what I think about cloud. And I think there's 5 key reasons from my perspective why I think 2011 isn't the year for the cloud, although in the future I see it as a model that could well be the right solution for particular organizations. Those 5 reasons are around cost, because the cost of interfacing onto a cloud solution will not necessarily provide a business case rationale for carrying out that cloud type solution. In addition to that, the cost of the change management involved of moving that organization into a cloud model has to be taken into consideration as well. Secondly, in terms of complexity, we use these fabulous terms in shared services and outsourcing. We talk about innovation, we talk about transformation, we now talk about cloud. The reality is that plenty of leadership teams struggle with these terms because we haven't necessarily defined them well enough. And the leadership teams in today's organizations don't necessarily understand, especially in the HR and finance procurement space, what cloud can bring. And so such a complex offering is difficult for an organization to step into. The third reason is around control. And whilst organizations may be comfortable with using a vendor portal on a non-core process in a cloud-based offering, your HR director, your CFO, your CPO are going to be less comfortable in giving up control of all of their applications and infrastructure to this new cloud-based model. These individuals have enough trouble working with their internal IT functions, and to give away further control, for them it'll be a difficult play. The fourth reason is around security. And I'd probably quote what's happened recently with Sony PlayStations. And we've all heard about the PlayStation cloud offering being hacked into. If it can happen to Sony, then it can happen to a lot of organizations. So there's still a question around security. And then the final point around this subject is the business, so HR, finance, and procurement, doesn't tend to lead IT in new offerings. If you think back to outsourcing, was really matured in IT before it really started maturing in BPO. If you look at help desks were created in IT as IT help desks before they moved to supplier and expense help desks. And if you look at ERP implementations, they were very much led by the CIO in IT first, to today's age where they are more and more led by the CFO. The reality is this will need to be proven in the IT function, which is starting to happen, but it will need to be proven in the IT function before finance, HR, and procurement take it on.